Hey there, MRA, my Real Africanist. This is Marieya Jouf, your girl, the Real Africanist, and welcome to my channel. On this channel, I talk about African history, the field of African studies, and current African affairs, right? If this is your first time here, I really appreciate you watching. And if you have been here before, I thank you for coming back. So today, um, I wanted to talk about a topic, right, that I am a little upset about, right? I'm not surprised, but I still am upset. And I'm upset because of the people who were involved in the topic that I am about to address, right? And that topic is the latest ruling that was handed down last Friday regarding the Tulsa, Oklahoma Race Massacre, right? So for those who are watching and are not familiar with the Tulsa Race Massacre, uh, it was basically what I call a home based terror attack that was carried out on American soil over a two-day period, in 1921 against a thriving, wealthy, and affluent Black residential and business community in in the Greenwood district in Tulsa, Oklahoma, right? Uh, as a matter of fact, the Greenwood district was one of the wealthiest towns in the United States during that era. And this was only, this massacre took place only about 55 years after slavery had ended, and before integration, the civil rights movement, the voting right acts, all of those integrationist policies, before all of those laws and like I say, policies kicked in, uh, there was this thriving and wealthy Black community in Tulsa, Oklahoma, uh, that was burned to the ground, right? And so, well, I want to first say that to set the record straight, right? That excuse me, that this was not the only um a town like this. This was not the only Black community like this in the United States during that time, right? There were a number of Black communities like this all across the American landscape, despite what you have heard, right? Um, and many of them, if not all of them, were destroyed by white supremacists, directly or indirectly, or in one form or the other, right? And so, for all of those critics who, who say that Black people have not accomplished anything, did not have anything, still have not done anything, this this information is for them, right? To let them know that we have done plenty. We still are doing plenty, right? Not that we have anything to prove, but the facts are the facts, right? So, in reference to Tulsa, right? Um, um, I was watching the Roland Martin show yesterday, and he reported that Judge Carlin Wall, who was the presiding judge over a lawsuit that was brought against Tulsa in 2020 by three of the last surviving victims of the race massacre, she dismissed the case again this past Friday. Now, I'm not sure on what grounds the case was dismissed, but I do know that the case was dismissed, right? And so the reason why I am upset, again, like I said, I'm not surprised, but I am upset because of uh, the people who were involved or who brought this case against Tulsa, Oklahoma, right? And so I don't know if you all remember um, two of the survivors, Mother Fletcher, I think it's Viola Fletcher, who is 109 now, and her brother, Uncle Red, who is 102, took a trip to Ghana 2 years ago during the pandemic, right? Like I say, Mother Fletcher was 107 at the time. Her brother was 100 years old, but they took a trip to Ghana, and the President Ado, as well as the African American diaspora, organization that's located in Ghana. They basically rolled out the red carpet for Mother Fletcher and Uncle Red. They showed them a marvelous time. They absolutely loved it. And they said that they absolutely loved it because all of their lives, all they wanted to do was to go to Africa and see Africa for themselves because of all of the crazy and negative things that uh, we in America, we as African Americans, but all Americans have been told about Africa, right? And so I remember when they went to Ghana, I remember how happy I was for them. You know, I was so happy that they had the opportunity to realize their dream of visiting the continent before, you know, they left the earth, you know. Who knows when that would be, but again, both of them are over 100 years old, right? They have both lived a long and a blessed life. However, the other part of that dream is that uh, they wanted to see restitution granted to the descendants of those people, men, women, and children who were killed and bombed out of their community in Tulsa, Oklahoma, right? Including themselves, right? Including themselves and their descendants, right? But obviously, that is not going to happen because of this ruling that came down on Friday. So, not only did the judge dismiss the lawsuit, but it appears as if she has rendered it impossible to file further legal action against the city of Tulsa for the massacre going forward, right? Um, which is pathetic, basically. Uh, this is not the first time that a lawsuit against Tulsa had been filed. So back in 2003, after the findings of a 1996 commission was made public, right? And this 1996 commission was organized to commemorate the 75th anniversary of the Tulsa Race Massacre, right? Another commission. You know, we need another commission, another committee, like we need a hold on our head, right? All the money that they spend on the commissions and the committee, they could be given to the victims of these heinous crimes, right? So, back then, after this commission made its report public, according to the report, you know, the commission found that law enforcement and government officials had participated in this massacre, this bombing of Tulsa, And they also made some recommendations of how reparations or retributions could be issued to the descendants of those that were killed and bombed and whose property was destroyed in Tulsa, right? Nothing ever came of that. Johnny Cochran, I'm quite sure most people know Johnny Cochran. He's the famous attorney, civil rights attorney, also the famous attorney who represented O.J. Simpson in the Nicole Brown Simpson and O.J. Simpson case, right? O.J., of course, was one. Johnny Cochran, of course, when he passed, was probably one of the most hated black men in America because he was able to get O.J. Simpson off for killing his wife, right, who was a Caucasian woman, along with a Johnny Cochran, along with another high-profile attorney named Ogletree. They filed a lawsuit on behalf of 5 um, remaining survivors of the Tulsa, Oklahoma massacre. I'm not sure if I guess the other 2 probably have passed away by now, but there are still 3 remaining. Anyway, their civil rights suit was thrown out because the judge said back then that the statute of limitation had passed for a civil rights lawsuit to be filed, right? So this time there was this nuisance case or something like that that was filed instead. Okay. Um, but what ticks me off so much about this particular case was that about a year ago, this same judge, the same judge that just dismissed this case on this past Friday, ruled that the case could not be dismissed about a year ago and it should go forward. So, in my opinion, it seems as if she was just playing on their emotions, right? Like they always do with black folks, just like they did with this California reparations committee or case or whatever just happened a few weeks ago. You know, they had Californians and other blacks so excited and up in arms about the possibility of these black Californians receiving, I think, millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars each of reparations, right? It was all across the news. But then when the committee, or whenever whatever they came up with, it was not what the Californians had expected, because I remember seeing something and they were saying that they don't need another committee, and they were just not pleased with what had came out of that, right? But again, we know this happens all the time. We are no stranger to this kind of injustice. But what ticks me off this time is because these were our elders, right? And I don't play when it comes to elders, right? I have much respect for elders. If I can't respect an elder, I just rather not to be around them, right? I'm not saying that that you can't disagree, or I don't have my disagreement with some of our elders, but I highly respect them, right? I mean, here you have our elders in their hundreds and in their last years here on earth, fighting for something that was rightfully theirs and that was just taken away because of white hate and bigotry, and I'm just tired of seeing that, and I know that they were disappointed with the ruling, not only because it's common sense that they should be disappointed, but because about 2 weeks ago, Mother Fletcher and Uncle Red appeared on the talk show, The Breakfast Club, for an interview, right? And it was a very nice interview. And Uncle Red more specifically talked about how he believed the judge was going to do the right thing by them, right? He really believed that. And he talked about how he had met President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris, right? And how he really believed that they were fighting for them, that these were good people. Now, I'm not saying that they are not good people, but I'm saying that he really had faith in the fact that they were going to make this happen for them, right? Now, Mother Fletcher, on the other hand, said she didn't have as much faith as her brother, right? But she was indeed still hopeful, right? She was hopeful. But she also said that she felt that they were trying to wait them out. So basically drag the case along until, they passed away. Because again, like I said, they're both in their hundreds, right? And this case has been pending since 2020. And so now it's 2023. So 3 years, right? And so I just think, again, that that's just pathetic and sad. But no matter how pathetic and sad it is the reality of the case, right? And it's the reality not only of this case, but of so many other cases in this country, right? When it comes to black justice, not just reparations or reparative justice, but when it comes to black lives altogether. I mean, just like in this case, I believe that these judicial systems have no plans, none whatsoever, to play retribution to black people for anything. I mean, even when they know and they have the evidence that it's old. And the reason why they're not planning on doing that, because they don't want to set the precedence for other cases to follow, and then they just don't want to do it, just plain and simple, right? And they have control of the system, so they don't really have to do it, okay? So I just wanted to say a little bit about this case, right? Let's take a look at this case. This case in particular was based upon the same old, worn out, jacked up story that has been told over and over again. I mean, seems like in the beginning of time, this may have actually been the original sin, right? And it has gotten so many innocent black men and boys killed or thrown in jail, right? Or both, right? And I'm talking about this lie that a Caucasian woman was attacked by a black man or a black boy, right? And we as black mothers and black women, we should really be speaking out about this more, because, so many of our husbands, our children, like you say, our uncles, our cousins, everybody have been, accused of attacking white women historically and have been thrown in jail, right? Thrown in jail, or they have been killed. They've been hung. I mean, everything has been done, right? To them because of a falsehood, right? An outright lie. So in this case, in particular, sorry about that. I'm sitting in the car, right? And it's kind of warm. But in this case in particular, a 19-year-old black young man named Dick Rowland, who was a shoe shine guy, right? He was getting on an elevator, and supposedly one story goes that he kind of slipped and was falling, and so to catch his grip, he actually reached for this young girl's arm, right? And she went screaming, right? This white male who was at a department store across from the elevator, who did not see anything, right, but supposedly had heard the scream, called the authorities and said that this black man named Roland had assaulted this white girl in the elevator, right? So there are a number of stories. Some say that the white girl said that he assaulted her, and some say that the man said that he assaulted her. But whatever the case may be, right, Roland was supposed to be seen running away from the direction of the elevator that they were in. But whatever the case may have been, I'm 100% sure that this wasn't the truth, right? It was just a bold-faced lie. And I'm saying 100% without even having the evidence, because this is the repetitive narrative that was used at this time and throughout history in order to, like I say, lynch, kill, and incarcerate black men, right? So after the report happened, right, the following day, Roland was arrested, and the news spread that he had attacked the Caucasian girl, right? Then it was said that because black men feared that Roland would be lynched, they all went home and they got their guns and surrounded the courthouse to protect this white mob of white men that had formed from basically lynching Roland, because they was demanding that they let him out of jail, or that they let them in the jail for them to to have their way with him. And then it is said that in response to the black men getting their guns, then the white men, they all got they guns, but I'm quite sure it was the other way around. I'm quite sure that the aggressors, the white men, had their guns first, and then the black men probably came to an agreement to go get their guns in order to protect themselves, their families, and, like I say, this young man. And that's if this happened at all, right? But nonetheless, a fight broke out supposedly, and shots were fired, and then the rest is history. Then you have, the massacre. So within this massacre, an estimated 300 black people were killed, men, women, and children. Our children constantly killed, and this is one area that we don't really concentrate enough on. So many black children were killed during enslavement, colonization, and all of that. That's kind of glossed over when it comes to black history, but a lot of children were killed in the process of these heinous systems, right? But as far as in Tulsa, 300 were killed, many more were injured, thousands were rounded up and detained, right? Businesses and homes were set on fire. Airplanes were flying over Tulsa. Bombs and explosives were dropped from these planes, right? Over 10,000 people were impacted by this, and it caused over $1 million worth of damage, right, in 1921. So in today's terms, that's over $30 million. Can you believe that? That is just how wealthy and economically sound that this black town was, right? But what to make it so bad, but like I say, not surprising, is that members of law enforcement and government were also involved in doing this. They were found to be in the planes that were dropping the bombs. They were the ones who furnished the weapons, right, to the white men who formed these lynch mobs and these vigilante groups. And after it was all over, the black survivors of Tulsa were basically kind of put in internment camps, right? They were basically, had nowhere to go, right? They were basically suffering. Their hospitals had been destroyed. The church had been destroyed. Schools had been destroyed. Banks had been destroyed. Everything had been destroyed, right? And to make it so bad, again, there was not one person, not one Caucasian person that was charged for all of these murders and all of this crime and and this basic terrorist attack, which basically was a slap in the face, right? It was basically a slap in the face. It was basically a punch in the face. But it's the truth of the matter, and it's indicative of the ugly way and the unjust way that black people have been historically treated in this country and all over the world, right? And people want to say that we cry victim and we play the race card. This is not victimhood. This is not a race card. We were actually victims of assaults. We were actually victims of mass murders, right? Victims of terrorist attacks in a country that we had been enslaved in, that we had built, that we had fought for, used, fought in military service for, all of that. And then after all of that, when our ancestors start to rebuild themselves and try to pull themselves up by the bootstrap, which they did because by the barefoot, because they had no boots and were able to accomplish what they were able to accomplish, then it was all destroyed, right? It was all destroyed. And it's sad, and it's very sick. These people are very sick, in the words of one of my heroes, Mama Fannie Lou Hamer, right? So basically, right, I said all of that to say this. I have no faith in the American local, state, or federal governments as it pertains to making good on black pain and suffering. I mean, I have no faith at all. It's not like I had much in the first place, but again, like Mother Fletcher, I was hoping that the momentum that we had going as black people, when it came to these battles for reparations, that that we had a chance at succeeding, right? I mean, I could be dead wrong. It could happen. I mean, anything is possible, but I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening anytime soon, and I don't see it happening anytime in the future. I mean, I don't mean any disrespect to the legal professionals and to the intellectuals who are out here fighting the good fight and who have done an amazing job. I mean, I would be proud if it happened. I would be grateful. I would be happy, and I am thankful for the expertise and the tenacity that our intellectuals, like I say, and our legal professionals are using. But I just can't believe in a system like this. I never, like I said, had much faith in it in the first place, because I have seen what has been done to my people. And like some people, I can't turn a blind eye to that and act like it don't exist, or somehow act like things have changed just because laws have changed. I mean, it has been said 1,000 times, you cannot legislate people's heart. And when people have that kind of hatred and that kind of bigotry within them, it's hard to change people, from that. And, it's really sad, because the more I study, the more I learn, and the worse the story gets, the more horrendous the stories get, and like I say, it's sad. And so it's no wonder that they don't want us to study our history. They don't want us to know about these stories. It's no wonder that they are trying to ban African diaspora history all over this country, because these are the things that has happened, right? And to black people, and they don't want you to know about it, because these are unspeakable crimes, right? I mean, I can't even imagine some of this stuff that has been done, right, to men, women, and children. And then the other side of that, you have these white supremacist legislators and educators, and these black white supremacist educators and legislators and people of the general public who got some nerve to say that Tulsa, Oklahoma, and other incidents like this were not about race. I mean, we've been hearing that all over the news since this story broke. But, I say, if it's not about race, then what is it about? Why is it that all of the victims are always black? Black or of other ethnicities and nationalities, but I'm talking about black people in this particular case and in this particular era. Why is it that all of the victims are always black? All of the people that have been killed, all of the property that has been destroyed always belong to black people. So if it's not about race, what is it about? They want to make it about economics. You cannot separate one from the other. It was about both. It's about economics, but it's about black economics, and it's about race, right? I mean, Tulsa was not the only town that was destroyed by these white supremacists. I mean, you have Elaine, Arkansas, that happened in 1919. Go look it up. What about Rosewood, Florida? You remember the story that John Singleton made the movie about, right? What about New Orleans in 1865? Another massacre. What about East St. Louis? Another massacre. Atlanta, Georgia, in 1906, another massacre, right? Look it up. If this is not about race, why are all the victims black? Even in Oscarville, Georgia, I don't know if you all have ever heard of Lake Lanier, right? Like I said, go look it up. I don't have a lot of time to explain that today, but Lake Lanier is a lake that covers this town of Oscarville, right? Which was another thriving, wealthy town that was destroyed and was eventually flooded out. People was ran out of town, killed, and the town was flooded out again because some white woman accused a black man of assault, right? The same old story over and over again. Like I said, the people who run this system are masters at repetitiveness. They do the same thing over and over and over again, and it seems to work. But mind you, black people had done nothing in any of these situations, but did what they claim they want us to do, and that's pull ourselves up by our bootstraps, right? These communities were prosperous and productive in wealth and in skill and in both, right? But so all of this was basically just based on jealousy and envy and just downright hate, right? Hate is what drove these massacres. It's the same thing that's driving the dismissal of these cases that are seeking reparative justice, the overturning of laws that have protect the rights of black citizens since the 60s, right? The same things that drives police brutality, the same thing that drives racial discrimination, and it's the same thing that drove this doggone insurrection that happened last on January or whenever it happened, right? These so-called white supremacist people who feel like they have this white privilege, right? And claim they are superior and the best, but then you're jealous of a small percentage of people who are just trying their best to make a living for their families and to lift their own selves up, right? But then after they do that, like I say, you burn up their property, you kill their people, and then you write these narratives as if we never did anything. You hide all the evidence. So, I won't be on here much longer. I'm gonna get ready to get off of here. But for all of you black people out there who are talking about black people should vote for Republicans instead of Democrats, I want to say also you can miss me with that, right? I'm not saying that you should vote Democrat. You should vote your interests, right? But I tell you one thing, I'm I'm doggone sure that I'm not voting Republican, right? That's something that I won't do, and I wish you would quit confusing the people talking about the Republican Party back in the day. The Republican Party back in the day was more like the Democratic Party of today, and the Democratic Party of that day was more like the Republican Party of today. You know, the switcheroo, like they always do, right? But like I said, you can vote for whoever you want to, but I won't be voting for that, right? I'm not sure who I want to vote for, but I tell you one thing: if you think that these white conservative, privileged, and racist Republicans have black people's interests in mind, then I have a bridge in Brooklyn that I want to sell you, right? I'm telling you, you got another thing coming. You know, we can't trade one for the other, right? That does not work. We've been doing that all throughout history, and we always get the short end of the stick. We think one side got more love than the other, and basically neither one really have the love that we need to get the things done that we need to get done. We got to have that love, and we got to do that for ourselves, right? So anyway, I'm signing off, and I got a little more that I want to say on this issue and on the affirmative action video that I did the other day. So I'm thinking about making a part 2. And as a matter of fact, I am going to make a part 2. So be looking out for that. You know, I have that up right in about a couple of days, right? And so I hope that you come back and take a look and get some value from the content. And I also just wanted to say to Mother Fletcher and Uncle Red, you know, I know they may not be listening, but you never know. But I just want them to know that they did their best. They fought a tremendous fight. They fought a good fight. I'm proud of them. I'm proud of their bravery. I'm proud of them telling their story, and I am grateful that the Creator, the ancestors, and the African people that love and respect them made it possible for them to get back home to the continent, right? And I also just wanted to say that I am so proud of you. You have, like I say, given us inspiration to keep going and to keep fighting the good fight. And that's what I am going to do, right? I can't speak for others, but that's what I'm going to do. I am going to continue to raise my voice and to be of service in any way that I can, in continuing to tell the stories of our ancestors, and to continue to like I say, do what I can, whether that's fighting for reparative justice or supporting those who are organizing to to try to build our own economic foundations. Whatever I can do, I am all aboard, right? And I just want you all to know, job well done, that your efforts were not in vain, right? So again, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, don't forget to comment, right? Tell me what you think about this legal case, and tell me what you think about these massacres in general, and the way that laws and legislations are being overturned that have been in place for more than 50 years to protect the rights of African Americans, right? So again, fight the power. Don't forget, when you are studying and researching African history, always go deeper. Read the books that other people don't read, so you can find the information that other people can't find, right? Don't let people tell you anything. Always do your research, and when it comes to Africa, you always got to go deeper, right? And also never forget the ancestors, love for family, and love for community, right? Like I say, I know we have our own problems in our community, but it's our job to deal with them, right? And hopefully, by us being out here fighting, that we can try to get a hold to some of our young people who, are out here, who are lost, who have no identity, and who, are just generations lost because of a trauma that black people have faced in this country and across the world. All right. So again, I am Marieya Jouf, the Real Africanist, and thank you for tuning in, and I will talk to you soon. Peace.